Hello, and welcome to the English Deep Dive. I am so pleased you are here today, because we are going to master one of the most powerful and British parts of the English language, modal verbs. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever said something in English that was grammatically correct, but the other person looked offended or surprised? Perhaps you said, "Open the window," or "Give me that book." To a British ear, these sentences are too direct. They sound like orders. They lack the modal magic that makes our language soft, polite, and sophisticated. In school, you learned that can is for ability and should is for advice. But in the real world, these words are the volume knobs of your personality. They control how polite you are, how confident you sound, and how you express your dreams and regrets. If you are a B1 or B2 learner, mastering could, should, and would is the final bridge to the advanced level. Today, we are going to perform linguistic surgery on these verbs. We will learn how to use them for possibility, advice, and hypothetical situations. Then, we will engage in a massive 60-sentence shadowing marathon to build your modal reflex. Finally, we will listen to a story where modal verbs completely change the meaning of a conversation. Are you ready to stop being too direct and start sounding like a native? Let's begin. Part 1. The British Art of Possibility, Could and Might. British people love to be indirect. We rarely say yes or no immediately. We prefer to live in the world of could and might. Could is for general possibility. It could rain later. Might is for a slightly lower possibility. I might go to the pub. I'm not sure yet. In professional life, we use could to make our suggestions sound less aggressive. Instead of we must change the plan, we say could we, perhaps, consider changing the plan. It sounds much more sophisticated, doesn't it? Let's practice 10 possibility sentences. Repeat after me with a soft, thoughtful tone. We could try to finish the report by Friday. It might be a bit chilly, so take a jumper. Do you think we could touch base next week? I was wondering if I could possibly ask a question. It might take a while to get used to the new system. Could you run those figures by me one more time? We might as well start now, if everyone is here. I think this could be an exceptional opportunity. You might want to take his advice with a pinch of salt. I could be wrong, but I think the meeting is at 10. Part 2. Advice and obligation. Should versus ought to. When you want to give advice, should is your best friend. But in the UK, we also use ought to for a slightly more formal or moral tone. The biggest mistake learners make is sounding too bossy. Instead of, you should do this, which sounds like a parent talking to a child, try, you might want to consider, or perhaps you should. Let's practice 10 advice sentences. Focus on the soft, helpful intonation. You should definitely try the fish and chips here. We ought to leave soon, or we'll miss the train, is less than #6. 5. Hash is greater than, perhaps you should give him a bell later today. You might want to check the minute details first. We should prioritize the most urgent tasks first. You ought to be proud of how far you've come. Should we call it a day and finish this tomorrow? You really should get round to cleaning your desk. I think we should look at the big picture here. Honestly, you should just take it one day at a time. Part 3. The Hypothetical World. The dreamer's verb. Would. Would is the most magical modal verb. We use it to talk about imaginary situations, to make polite offers, and to talk about past habits. If you want to sound advanced, you must master the conditional would. I would go, but I've got a lot on my plate. We also use would to be extremely polite. Would you mind helping me with this? Let's practice 10 hypothetical sentences. I would love to visit the Highlands next summer. Would you mind keeping the noise down a little? If I were you, I'd take that job promotion. It would be a pleasure to collaborate with you. I would never dream of being so rude to a client. That would be a fantastic idea, wouldn't it? I'd like to kick off the meeting with an update. Would it be okay if I arrived 10 minutes late? I'm over the moon. I would never have expected this. If we had more time, we would discuss this in detail. Part 4. Regrets and Reflections. Modals in the past. This is the C1 level test. When we talk about the past, we use modal plus have plus past participle. I should have studied more. Regret. I could have gone, but I was tired. Lost opportunity. He would have called you, but he lost his phone. Assumption. This structure is vital for storytelling and expressing deep emotions. Let's shadow 10 past modal sentences. I should have got round to fixing that light sooner. We could have won if we had worked as a team. I would have told you, but I didn't have the foggiest. You should have seen his face when I told him. It could have been much worse, to be perfectly honest. I would have called, but I was absolutely swamped. We should have prioritized the budget from the start. He could have been promoted if he had stayed longer. I would have come to the pub, but I was knackered. You should have checked the weather before we left. Part 5. The Master Shadowing Marathon. Now, we enter the most important part of our workout. We are going to practice 60 sentences that combine all the modals we have learned. This is the gym for your modal reflex. Do not analyze the grammar, just copy my sound. Let's begin. Section A. Polite requests and suggestions. Could you possibly lend me a hand for a moment? Would it be okay if I used your computer today? I was wondering if you could help me with this. You might want to consider a different approach. Could I grab a quick coffee before we start? Would you mind running those figures by me again? Perhaps we should touch base later this afternoon. I would appreciate it if you could send the report. Do you think you could get back to me by Friday? It might be better to wait until the boss arrives. We should probably prioritize the client's needs. Could you tell me how to get to the city centre? I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. You ought to take a break. You look exhausted. Would you be interested in joining our project? Could we perhaps discuss this in more detail later? I think you should take it with a pinch of salt. Might I suggest that we look at the big picture? It would be brilliant if you could make it tonight. Should I give you a bell when I arrive home? Section B. Regrets and Hypotheticals. I should have listened to your advice from the start. If I were in your position, I would stay calm. We could have avoided this mistake if we had checked. I would have called you, but I felt under the weather. It would be a long shot, but it might just work. You should have seen the view from the mountains. I would have been over the moon with that result. We could have arrived on time if the trains worked. Honestly, I would never have thought about it that way. I should have got round to answering those emails. It would be exceptional if we could double our sales. I'm afraid I would have to disagree with you there. We could have been swamped if we didn't have help. If I had known, I would have come to help you. You should have told me you were struggling. It would be better to play it by ear for now. I could have spent all day in that library. I would have been absolutely chuffed with a C1. We should have taken the housing crisis seriously. It would be high time we started our next project. Section C. Professional decisions and certainty. That should be straightforward enough to manage. It could be a while before we get a response. The situation would be much better with more focus. You should be able to get it finished by tonight. It might not be exactly rocket science, but it's hard. That would be a very considerate gesture from him. We should prioritize quality over quantity here. It could be that the client is just very busy. I would definitely bear your suggestions in mind. We should reach a compromise by the end of play. It could be a disaster if we don't fix the virus. That would be an ingenious solution to the problem. I should be arriving in London around 6 o'clock. It could be that we need to think outside the box. The results would be impressive if we stay consistent. You should get along very well with the new team. It might be a touchy subject, so I'd tread carefully. I would be absolutely spent after that marathon. We should focus on building our speaking confidence. It could be that 2026 is your year of fluency. Part 6. Story Mode. The weekend plan that went wrong. Now, let's put it all together. Imagine our friend Jack. Jack is a master of modal English. Last Friday, he was planning a trip to the coast with his girlfriend, Sarah. He told her, "We should leave at 5 p.m. to avoid the traffic." Sarah replied, "We could go later, but it might be dark when we arrive." On the way, the car got a puncture. Jack sighed and said, "I should have checked the tyres before we set off." "They were stuck for 2 hours," Sarah said. "Don't worry. We might as well enjoy the view while we wait." When they finally arrived at the hotel, the receptionist said, "I'm afraid we are overbooked. Would you mind staying in our smaller room for tonight?" Jack used his diplomatic English. "That wouldn't be ideal, to be honest. Could you possibly check if there are any other options?" The receptionist found them a suite. Sarah was over the moon. She said to Jack, "We would have missed this if we hadn't been late." Jack realized that even when things go wrong, using the right modals helps you stay calm and professional. He was perfectly content. Part 7. Your 30-Day Modal Master Challenge. If you want to stop confusing your modals, you need a system. Here is your challenge. Number 1. The may I habit. Today, every time you want to ask for something, use could I possibly, or I was wondering if I could. Stop being direct. Number 2. The shadowing workout. Watch this video twice a week and repeat the marathon sections. This builds the muscle memory of the correct intonation. Number 3. The past reflection. Every evening, think of one thing you should have done today and say it out loud. I should have drank more water. I should have practiced my English. Part 8. The rapid fire modal quiz. Let's check your reflex. I will say the situation, and you say the correct British modal sentence. You want to give advice. You should try this. You are talking about a 50% possibility. It might rain. You want to make a very polite request. Could I possibly help you? You are expressing regret about yesterday. I should have called you. You are talking about an imaginary situation. I would love to go. You are talking about a general past ability. I could speak French as a child. Conclusion. Excellent work today. You have just completed a massive 45-minute masterclass on the soul of British grammar, modal verbs. You have practiced 60 sentences and learned how to use should, could, and would with precision and grace. Remember, these words are not just grammar rules. They are the keys to social confidence and professional respect. The more you use them, the more you will sound like a native speaker and less like a textbook robot. I have a small task for you. Write a sentence in the comments using should have about something you did or didn't do last week. I will read every single one. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the English Deep Dive and share this with a friend who is struggling with their fluency. I am so proud of your dedication today. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and master those modals. I will see you in our next lesson. Goodbye for now.